Business is good for Veronica and her husband, Eddie. Both enjoy separate careers in similar fields. Both are active within the community, and both enjoy relationships outside of their own. Is this just about sex, or is there more to it?
I think that depends on who you ask. I mean, I have met plenty of people who really do just enjoy having variety of sex. And then, you know, there are people like my husband and I who really are interested in developing relationships with people.
Veronica and Eddie have known each other for nearly a decade. Married for 3 years, they are what some consider swingers. They call it a sex-positive, open relationship.
We didn't engage with others, you know, inside of our relationship until, you know, sometime later. You know, I think it was also important for us to really solidify our bond and foundation.
But what I discovered later was I wanted a monogamous relationship for a time, not for a lifetime.
Eddie and Veronica are part of a group of approximately 13 million people in the U.S. That's according to the Electronic Journal of Human Sexuality, that engage in the swinging lifestyle. Even with that statistic, their choices are viewed as taboo, their identities concealed as a result.
As to why in an age where, you know, we are dealing with, you know, different pronouns and gender identity and gay marriage and all of those things, is it really just a strong fear of sex? And is it really a strong fear that you know, if you participate in those types of things, somehow or another it makes you deviant, or makes you, you know, a wild, you know, card, or, you know, or all those different things.
Our country was founded by the Pilgrims, which thought sexuality was horrible.
Author and accredited marriage relationship sex counselor Ina Malekish says our society's base foundation would have to change in order for this type of lifestyle to be widely accepted.
And that's why it's gone underground. That's why there are millions of people who have entered an alternative lifestyle.
The word on the street is that couples who participate in a swingers lifestyle leave objects in front of their home to identify their openness, if you will. People we spoke to say that's an urban legend that is easily put to bed.
I don't drive up and down the streets looking for anyone. Nothing, you know, nothing wrong with that, I suppose, but I would find that a little bit odd. And if you knocked on my door and said, hey, the rocks in your front yard look like you might be one of those people, I would probably call 911.
I think that if someone is open to it and looking for it, you can find it. It's not that hard.
A simple online search will result in the information some might be seeking. And that someone could be your neighbor, friend, even family member.
I know almost the whole community here. Like, it's a small town, even though we're pretty big, but I mean, word gets around.
It seems like something that a lot of couples or a lot of people are getting involved with.
They don't want to open up Pandora's box. They just want to open their marriage.
Key to a successful open marriage, according to Malekish, communication. Rules have to be set ahead of time and strictly followed. It's also the reason Eddie and Veronica say they have grown closer.
We discuss everything, like details, and we check in with each other along the way. Hey, is this too much detail? And we're like, yes or no, right? And so because of that, it's been so much easier to, for me, you know, going through the process.
We could talk about, you know, what do people do when they go to a swinger party, or when you have that first conversation with a potential lover. And, you know, we could talk about the nitty-gritty of the actual sex acts, but, you know, let's leave that to 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, this is really, for me, it's really about being a empowered, freely expressed human being in loving relationships and having fun and not being ashamed of it.
Eddie and Veronica have engaged in relationships together with another couple. They experience individual relationships as well. Their hope is only to express their freedom to feel loved, especially by one another, and eventually to be accepted for doing just that. Anita Roman, Fox 10 News.
This is it.
It's a morning routine,
3 or 4 miles,
a daily ritual,
rain or shine.
and every step 69-year-old Phil Bernacki makes
My footprints from yesterday's hike.
takes him somewhere he's never been before, all without ever leaving the same trail.
I mean, look at this. You can't beat that, you know, it's just a beautiful view.
On this morning, we tag along, trying to keep up, stopping to admire the landscape of the Picket Post Trail in Superior.
This is another trail, it's a little offshoot.
Just one trailhead along the Arizona National Scenic Trail. 800 diverse miles across Arizona that links deserts, mountains, canyons, forests, communities, and people.
Starts down here at the international border at the Coronado National Memorial.
The Arizona Trail is only about 30 years old, and it was developed in concept by one individual, Dale Shewalter, a Flagstaff area school teacher, that had a vision of a trail that traversed the entire state.
Crosses the Gila River, the lowest portion of the trail.
Matt Nelson, executive director of the Arizona Trail Association, calls it the best kept secret in the state.
Really, some of the most incredible places that if the trail weren't built through there, people would probably never visit.
From hikers to equestrians to mountain bikers to runners, every piece of the trail offers a different challenge, a different landscape. Here at Picket Post, for example, the rocky trails are surrounded by mountains and often lead to the unexpected.
When it's too hot, I'll just lay down right in that water and cool off. You can't beat that.
Bernacki lives in Queen Valley, so Superior is only a short drive. The town is considered a gateway community, and according to its mayor, is the most central point of the Arizona Trail.
We're proud to be an example of how you can both combine your traditional industries and this ecotourism and putting that all together and working closely with the Forest Service that things do need to be protected, but we also have to make sure that everybody has access and usability all the way around.
From Superior, you can head to Tucson.
I went probably about 8 miles. It's all climb up to the saddle and back.
The Gabe Zimmerman Trail in Tucson is a perfect example of how different each and every single mile of the Arizona Trail really is. Just take a look around.
Because it was built by volunteers and it continues to be maintained by volunteers, we're in a really wonderful place to be able to make sure this thing is sustained in the future because it's a community endeavor.
The Arizona Trail Association was formed in 1994 and today helps all of the volunteers coordinate maintenance efforts with the federal and state agencies that run the land the trail snakes through. There is no permit system, so it's difficult for the association to determine exactly how many hikers complete the entire trail. But last year, 200 registered online, saying they did. Most people seem to be on a 10-year plan, jokes Nelson, and enjoy the trail a few days or a few miles at a time, like Bernacki.
If I was younger, I might do the whole thing, but these days, you know, I just pick out little parts of it and do what I do. See how easy that was?
Anita Roman, Fox 10 News. The time, nearly 66 years ago. A little boy, just about 10 years old, was just realizing a dream.
I had chicken pox or the mumps or measles or something, so I couldn't go to school for a couple weeks, and I was really bored.
Mickey Olson is 76 today, but remembers that fateful afternoon vividly. To pass the time, he drew a map.
It's about the size of my granddad's 5 acres.
That map became the key to his entire future.
I thought about it, this is where I'm going to have animals someday. And this is a legend, misspelled. I was never a great speller. We had some parakeets. My dad had some parakeets and a lily pond with some koi fish. My granddad raised very nice German shepherds and had canaries and a few chickens.
Olson says it really started with a couple of ducks, a gift from his grandfather who lived next door when he was growing up. The very land he planned to build Wildlife World Zoo on.
In some ways, it resembles what we've done here at the zoo, just on a grand scale. I like to check out some of the animals.
Olson graduated from ASU and became a teacher. His love for animals grew.
I was raising exotic birds for other zoos and other collections, and in the early 80s, with the growth of the west side of Phoenix here and the whole West Valley, we decided to go ahead and open a zoo here.
This is me in the diapers, and my cousin and my mother, and we are in the petting zoo. And this was my favorite area when I was younger because it was somewhere where I could go and touch the animals.
Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium opened to the public in 1984, a few years before Christy Morcom was born.
Here you go.
The petting zoo is still her favorite exhibit.
Wow.
It's still a place she escapes to, only this time taking a break from her beloved job as a director of public relations for the zoo.
I'm out of food. It's amazing to get to come to work every day and be surrounded with people that have that same passion that you do for animals.
Morcom started as a volunteer. So did senior keeper for Hoof and Stock, Marilyn Bandu.
Let Angel have some.
14 years ago.
They are something I never thought I'd get the opportunity to get this close.
And Emily Sebo.
Good girl.
She was eventually hired on as a director of sea lions and runs the new marine mammal program at Wildlife.
Good girl, Mama. When I left Hawaii, I thought that was it. I had done marine mammal training. It was a dream of mine. Most people don't get to live their dreams once, and I got to do mine. And then when this opportunity came, I'm thankful every day I get to play with sea lions and do positive reinforcement training.
And then I remember there were a couple spots here where it was going to be a pond, but I must not have finished the legend. I never got to pond it.
The zoo had been open for a few years when Olson was reminded of the map. The original, laminated by his mom, was found in her belongings after she passed away.
Do you have a favorite animal at the zoo? I know that's probably hard.
Well, giraffes are really my favorite. And then I also like black-necked swans.
He's on site every day, checking in with all the keepers and all the animals.
Hi, guys. It was the first Lori parrot feeding or feeding of any kind of exotic birds in a zoo anywhere in the world.
Proud of all that's been accomplished. Never in his wildest dreams did Mickey think his childhood vision would become reality, that the tiny little map would grow into a 100-acre zoo that houses 6,000 animals.
They're above you, and it's really interesting to see people come up and they're looking in the cage, and then all of a sudden they realize it's above them, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
John Wallach, manager of exhibit design, started working at the zoo as a sophomore in high school.
Good boy, buddy.
Alongside the zoo's current general curator.
Yeah, the kid.
For 34 plus years, Olson has been a boss, friend, and inspiration.
To me, he's a testament of what somebody can accomplish if they dedicate their entire life to something.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
When you look at this and you look at this.
Yes, there's a lot of similarity there.
If he knew then what he knows now, Olson still wouldn't change a thing. And that's because he says it all came together, just like it was supposed to. Anita Roman, Fox 10 News.